be going through today what I'm bringing on the PCT for my diabetes gear. Not your typical gear video. If you're diabetic, it's the one you care about. Let's dive into it. First of all, insulin, right? The one thing that we truly need. I am bringing fast-acting insulin. I use Novolog. I could use Humalog, whatever fast-acting insulin you use, because I wear the Omnipod 5 insulin pump. And so for insulin pumps, you need fast-acting insulin. Well, I will be bringing my vials of fast-acting. I use these vial-safe covers that are just these little rubber covers that fit over your vial, and if you drop your vial, which I have, and it's shattered, if it has this on it, it will not shatter. So you save your very expensive insulin. And I actually ordered and picked up several more because I only have 2 of these, well, until I ordered those. And I will probably be carrying 3 vials at a time. Typically a vial lasts me about a month. I'll be definitely using less insulin on the trail, but I want the flexibility to not have to hike into towns all the time to refill my insulin. I also want plenty of backup if I do happen to break one or something happens to it. So planning on bringing 3. The way I keep my insulin from getting hot on hotter days is, number 1, I'm using a sun umbrella, which will greatly decrease the temperature under the umbrella in my pack. But I also have a Frio pack to put my insulin in. I got a bigger one than I typically use because I'll be carrying more insulin at a time. But this way, all of my insulin can fit in here. These are great. You can get them on Amazon or on the Frio website, but this is just kind of an outside carrying case, but this is the inner sleeve that goes in it, and you submerge this in water, and it has all these little beads in here that turn into a gelatinous thing that cools your insulin by evaporation. Your insulin's not gonna stay cold like it would in the fridge, but you actually don't have to keep your insulin cold. You just have to keep it from getting above, I think it's like 82 degrees. Anyways, that's what we're gonna do with the insulin. I will also be bringing a long-acting insulin pen. So I don't usually use long-acting insulin. This is Lantus, because I'm on pump therapy, so I don't need to. But if something happens with my pump, something goes horribly wrong, you know, if my pod controller dies and my pod expires and I have no way of using my insulin pump, then I can go to using long-acting insulin, which you give yourself. You can look and see, well, if your pod controller is not working, you should just know how much insulin really you're using daily from basal in your pump, which is really easy to calculate with the Omnipod 5 because it tells you on the pod controller. And you just give yourself the same amount in long-acting insulin once a day. And then when you eat, you would bolus with your fast-acting. And I have syringes that I'm gonna bring with. I'll probably bring about 10 of these. So you can bolus with a syringe, and I have a little pen cap for the long-acting, although you can always use a syringe to extract from the pens. But that's what I would do if something happens to my pump system. But this fits with my other insulin vials in this Frio. It's sized for pens, which is really nice. For my sensor, if it fails, I have tried and true, good old-fashioned finger prick-in system. I'm only gonna bring 1 pack of test strips because I use the Dexcom G6 sensor, and you actually don't have to calibrate with that one. So normally I don't prick my finger, but if something goes wrong with my sensor, or even sometimes you'll have an error for a couple of hours where it's not giving you readings, or sometimes towards the end of the life of the sensor it starts being a little wonky, then you can use the traditional method of testing your blood sugar. And for that tester, I'll carry an extra battery. This thing is ancient. I don't know the last time I changed this battery, and they last forever, but battery. So clearly I need pump supplies. I will be myself carrying 5 of these at a time, and my brother will also be carrying 5 for me. This gives me a month, assuming none of them die early, which is a big assumption. If you're on Omnipod 5, you know. This will nominally give us a month before needing to get more pump supplies. Obviously, I will not wait until I'm down to 0 to resupply. And I will be getting resupplies of these via a combination of my husband or a friend bringing us these, like with some food resupply, especially when we're in Southern California and close to home. But when we're further away, it'll be mailed in a box along with my food resupply. Between the two of us, we'll have 10 of these at a time. And for my sensor, we will each be carrying 2 of these at a time, and these last 10 days each. So 10 times 4 total is 40 days. Now, carrying this many sensors and pods is of course heavier than carrying a tiny amount of them to last a couple of weeks or something like that, but it means that we aren't having to go to a post office or going into towns unless we need food. It gives us a little more flexibility. And it also gives me quite a bit of margin in case something goes wrong and I have a string of them. Maybe it was a bad lot that start failing or something like that. For my sensor, I will also bring a transmitter. I think the transmitters last 3 months, so I'll need to change the transmitter at some point during the hike. Luckily this guy's tiny, but I'll be carrying an extra one of these. To control my pump, this is the controller. It's pretty heavy. It's a phone. It's an Android phone that they, put different software on to be an Omnipod 5 controller. It even has a camera that you can't access. But I have an iPhone, and there's no app currently for controlling the Omnipod 5 through an iPhone. So I'll be bringing the controller. It is what it is. For lows, in an extreme case, I have Bascimi. This is an inhalable glucagon. I've thankfully never had to use this, but if for some reason I do pass out from a low, my brother knows where this is at all times and it's accessible, and he can always give this to me. For normal lows, which there will be many of because we're hiking all day, every day, I'll always have a bunch of gummies with me. Diabetics and gummies it's a match made in heaven. I'll try to bring quite a big variety because you can get real burned out on the same flavor of gummies on a backpacking trip, especially because you're going low more often than normal life. Gummies are the normal way of how I treat my lows. And then if I have a low that's feels like it's a little more severe, if I need to come up faster, I will sometimes use a gel, just because these hit me faster. I don't have to chew it, and it's just a little quicker. I don't love taking these. I've pretty much burned out on these, so these are kind of plan B, and then Bascimi's plan C. I will be carrying all the supplies in this DCF Diddy bag, which nicely fits all of the pods and sensors, and this weighs basically nothing, and it's waterproof. So both me and my brother have one of these that will carry the supplies in. And then I of course have a fanny pack. This is from Light AF and super cute, waterproof, and I'll have in here like an extra pod that's easily accessible if I need to change it during the day so I don't have to dig in my pack. I'll have my pod controller, my low supplies, a baggie of the gummies, and probably a couple of snacks, and chapstick and sunblock, blah, blah, blah. If I need to put my pack down and want to go explore away from camp or walk around in town without my pack, I can use this to carry all of my diabetic stuff in one spot. So all of these supplies together for the portion that I'll carry in my little bag, and not including my pod controller because that will go in my fanny pack, all of it comes out to 1.4 pounds, which really is not bad, especially since I'm carrying so many extra supplies so that I'm not having to resupply too often with my diabetes stuff. 1.4 pounds for being able to do a through hike as a diabetic and know that you have all your backup situations covered, you've covered all the contingencies, all the things that can go wrong, I'll take it. That is not bad. That's how I'm doing it. One thing I forgot to mention is, you know, with the insulin, it's not just a matter of keeping it cool. I think this will be less of an issue for us because we have a later start date, but there still could be times where we are sleeping in sub-freezing temperatures. And my method for keeping my insulin from freezing at night, if I'm worried that it's going to go below freezing, is just to sleep with it in a pocket. My fleece has a little pocket on the chest, and so I'll stick it in there or in my puffy pocket. But basically I'll just keep it on me, and that makes sure that it doesn't get too cold and it doesn't freeze. Because I have more insulin with me than I am usually taking on a couple night backpacking trip, I would probably put the Frio pack in a Ziploc and just shove it in my sleeping bag. Let me know if you have questions. I'm so excited, and I will definitely let you guys know anything I learn, any mistakes I make, and any changes I make to all of this as I start the hike and see how things go. See you next time.